Well, hello there to anyone who may be watching. My name is Joshua, and I am a carpenter from the Pacific Northwest. I've been a carpenter for most of my life. I'm 46. I started in construction when I was, around 18, 20, and worked my way up to finished carpentry, and I've made a variety of things. And I decided to create this channel and dedicate this particular channel to my woodworking. And so therefore this will be my introduction video, because I really had one before, which I tried to make this my nature channel, but I can upload nature to my other channel. This particular channel is dedicated to woodworking. The only reason I went away from that for a while was because my back. I had back problems. I couldn't continue my carpentry and kind of lost faith in myself, and I've regained that now. And what I'd like to do is present you with a few of the projects I've been working on. Although this is woodworking and jewelry, I should make it clear that I don't just do woodworking. I have an entire, well, there's a shelf behind me full of a variety of beads, different necklaces. I do a lot of resin jewelry. My apologies to the subscribers who have asked me to make jewelry for them, or who have wanted to buy some of the necklaces that I have, because I make bracelets, necklaces, a variety of different things out of resin, mushrooms. I like art. I like creating things like that. And I also like doing woodworking. For example, to bring this out as an example, this is something that I did a while back that was just years ago, actually. Just walnut and oak, with dovetail joints in it, and then it has a nice resin top, which I've done a couple coats of resin on, and a very simple concept, and something that I was always proud of, just building things like that, but at the same time building things like huge houses with amazing finished carpentry that I was allowed to do. Doing spiral staircases, doing entire kitchens, working with designers in the West Hills. And I will probably be sharing a lot of that too. A lot of variety of different, things that I like to build, like furniture. I've done wingback chairs and custom couches, you name it. But now I'm embarking on something completely new that is going to really push me to my limits, and that is learning the work of a luthier, learning to build guitars. That is difficult. I'm modest about it. I realize that I know very little. That said, behind me on that same shelf with all the beads, I have a lot of guitar blanks I've been working on so far in the last month since I started this kind of endeavor. I've made about 7 guitar blanks, which is easy. You cut out a piece of wood. That's not hard. Then I've also made 4 necks and 4 fretboards, and messed up a couple too. And so I'm going to show you what I've built so far also on this endeavor. The first guitar I worked on. Okay, well, I want to show you the first bass, because that's what I started on. I'm a bassist, but also a guitarist. I started on this. I wanted to replicate my ESP. It's an LTD, a very simple guitar, and it worked out okay. I ended up putting a couple strips of Purple Heart in it, and I made this whole thing out of this amazing pine. But it was an old pine table, and this is obviously 2 pieces that were already connected, but they were connected with, I've mentioned this before for anyone who already watched this channel, these pieces were connected with a couple of pegs here and there. And this is a 1 solid piece of pine guitar, and I wanted to do this because look at that wraparound. You can get all the way up to the highest frets on this thing. It's a great feel. But at the very top, right here, there was a peg, and I didn't see it until it was too late. So before I did all the finished work on it, I strung it up, and it broke. Very disappointed. Didn't know what to do. So I tried to glue it, and it broke again. Now I've glued it, and I'm going to leave it as kind of an example of what not to do. But it does have a Purple Heart fretboard, and I did my own inlays out of resin and glow powder, so in a black light they shine really bright. And I'll set it aside and say I learned a lesson. This other one, which is one that I'm the farthest behind on right now, is probably my favorite. This bass has a rosewood fretboard, which is clamped on right now because it's not trimmed down to size, obviously, and a neck that, whoops, the neck's not actually connected. I'll do the body in a moment. This neck it's a rosewood fretboard with my own, markers out of resin, and epoxy. I have a special mixture of epoxy and a variety of glow powders and a little bit of sparkle that makes it look like abalone. But here's the thing that is unique that I want to work on that I've never seen on a guitar. And don't steal my idea, but I have seen so many different shapes of necks at the top. Gibson's, got Fenders, but I have seen very few shapes this direction on the profile. And what I want to do is I want to taper these up and this up, and not rounded, but actually like wings, and then round this out and shape it like the head of a bird. So I want to make a profile of a bird this direction, and then the the tuning pegs can sit up here. They'll have more than enough grip. There's more than enough there. I've still got enough to where I could shave off, I don't know, a good 1/8 inch, and so I'm excited about that. This is a piece of laminated Padauk with, it's actually 5 pieces of Padauk, or 4 pieces, sorry, of Padauk with 3 pieces of Purple Heart. And the Purple Heart goes all the way through, obviously, and then jumps into the profile on the neck, which I think that's going to be a pretty cool neck. That neck goes with this body, which, I'm going to be honest, is my favorite. As you can see, it's very rough, and this actually took me about an hour to make it look like this. It started out really smooth. I had sanded it down to perfection. It was so baby skin smooth, just perfect. And then I took a wire brush. It was a special technique I was researching, and I was like, okay, how do you make pine look aged? And I ground all of these different... Basically what you're doing is you're grinding down all of the white meat where the more resined, rings, which would probably... I'm assuming maybe it would be the winter rings that are remaining because maybe they have more sap in them. I'm not sure how that works, honestly. But there's more red in it now because I got rid of a lot of the white. And if you look at the back, you'll see that this spot right here, for example, let's see if I can get it to... There's a very strong contrast in texture here. I mean, it's very bumpy. That's what I was after. I wanted to make it physically feel like a guitar. I wanted to make a guitar that didn't feel like a bunch of lacquer slapped over a piece of wood. Because so many guitars are. 99% of guitars are machine made. And there's this fear that you can't make something because it's too hard, or because you have to have special technique and special lessons. Truth is, if you can watch YouTube and you have some basic carpentry skills, you can probably build a guitar. And this one has kind of a rosette on it, or, a scroll, if you will, which honestly feels good to hold. And that's another thing that I thought would be cool to add to a guitar. So anyway, that one needs to be finished. Still needs to have the pickups in it, everything routed out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one yet. But that aside, that brings me to the original guitar I started. I started building this electric bass 5 years ago. I just took a bunch of mahogany from a job site. It might have been like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, honestly. Maybe even longer. It could have been over 10 years ago, because that's when I worked on this job site. And I took these pieces of mahogany and I clamped them together and I just left them, and I cut out a rough base shape with my bandsaw. And it was pretty horrid. It looked bad. And I thought, I'll never do anything with this. Fast forward, I guess, a decade. My friend tries to get me into building guitars. I'm like, okay, let's try this out. We buy all the tools. Some of them anyway. And then this is what I came up with. Now, I bolted in the back the other day on this, and I was so disappointed because I was going to share. I had 4 bolts in here. Right now there's just 2 to hold it in, but 4 bolts, and the 4th one, as soon as I got it in, it snapped off. It snapped off to where the neck had half of it. Half of the bolt was still, I should say, it was in enough to where I couldn't get the neck off. I had to drill it out. It was a pain in the ass, but I finally figured it out. This one still needs to be profiled. It still has a lot of work to do on the back. But the neck, I actually have done a coat of finish on it. And this had resin in it. I used the wrong kind of tuning pegs. I know this. This is for one where 2 go on each side. But I used this as a sample run because I wanted to see how it would look. And just kind of get a feel for it. The fretboard is also rosewood. It's got fret markers on the... Did I put them on the top yet? Yeah, there's fret markers on the top and on the front, as usual. But this is what really got me. I wanted to come up with a design that was unique to me. And I didn't realize that it would just come to me in the first one I made. After I went through and started making all these different designs, I thought, this is the one that I love. And I have never seen a guitar like it. Not exactly like it, anyway. Not even, honestly, really close to it. As far as the bass, I realized this could have 2 humbuckers, and I'll treat everyone as if they don't know what I'm talking about. There's different types of pickups for guitars. There's humbuckers, and those are the ones where there's like basically a group of 2 together. Sometimes they'll put them split far apart or close together. These are called P-bass pickups, and they split them so you get different frequencies closer or farther from the neck and to the higher or the lower strings. Some people split them differently. I'm not going to go through all the details here, but the point is, I should have chosen humbuckers for this. It would have looked a lot cooler, or at least a J-bass set up to where it's straight across. But I didn't. I just used these because I thought they were convenient. So this right here is temporary. It's the cover that goes over. This is mahogany. There are 2 strips of Purple Heart and inside maple, which is recessed by about 1/8 of an inch. And here's the kicker. It wasn't originally intended to be this way. It was mahogany all the way through. The reason I did this is because I screwed up when I was building the neck cutout. My router got away from me. So what I did was I rebuilt it with a full maple insert. Then I put 2 strips of these over the top and repaired the problem before there was an issue. And it turned out just fine, but I haven't put the frets on, obviously, yet. But this right here is a piece of plywood, and I'm probably going to replace it with something fancy. Like, I thought about doing something like, Bubinga, or, some kind of really ebony or something. And I thought, no, I really want to keep it neutral. The point being that this turned out to be not quite what I expected. I call it the tweed guitar because it looks like something from the 70s, an old amp or something. But the thing is, the feel of it, when you put it on your leg like this, there's that little curve at the bottom, which I'm not saying it's my idea. It's just my idea to me. I know other people have created guitars like that. Everything under the sun has been created, right? But basses tend to get kind of heavy. And from what I understand, basses carry better sound and better depth when they are more of a solid wood. And that makes sense to me. Like, for example, if you want sustain on an electric guitar, you play lead guitar, having a lighter wood might be way better because it might carry the sound back and forth and it might vibrate better. On a bass, you want that resonance to stay right on the string so it gets right to that pickup. But at any rate, maybe I don't know shit. I'm just going to say that I like the way this looks, and on the very top, this is resin that I did, a coating of glow resin. So when you turn off the light, well, the light goes behind here like this, and it actually glows in the dark, but it's hard to see in here the way it's set up. So yeah, I'm using this really cheesy light for my, it's a plug-in Makita battery light. But at any rate, I wanted to show those things and kind of brag about my my focus and how motivated I've been. Not necessarily about my achievements, because hey, I started over a month ago and I haven't accomplished one guitar yet. But I'm going to, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of videos on how to. I want other people to be able to do this and feel inspired to do the similar things. I mean, whatever it might be, whether it's sanding, staining, just basic cabinets or doors. I'm always willing to answer any questions if people have it about carpentry or anything relating to it. And so let me know. Let me know if you have a question. On top of that, hope you enjoyed listening to all my rambles, and I'm going to keep at it and keep trying to build shit, and hope that in the long run, the truth is, this bass right here is almost done. It's all wired up, everything's ready to go. All I need to do is put the frets in, and before I do that, I need to get some CA glue. I could just pound them in right now. There's two things I need. CA glue, which is basically super glue, because I like to make sure the frets are in tight. And I really need a fret saw to make sure that the the frets are good, because my saw went bad. But on top of that, for now, I just need the glue. Then I need a nut for the top of it, which I just ordered, and a bridge. I did not order a bridge. I thought I'd ordered a bass bridge, and I never did, and I feel so stupid for it. But the final thing beyond that is nippers. I'm not being offensive. That's not racist. I'm not saying anything bad about Chinese people. Nippers! God, that's bad. The point being, nippers are basically these little snips that you can nip the ends off of things, and it kind of pinches metal, if you will. God, it sounds stupid to even say that. I mean, I've been using them for years, but they're basically like wire cutters, but they're more finessing wire cutter kind of stuff. And I need to use them to cut the ends of the frets. I have frets that are like 8 inches long, and I can get the maximum amount if I clip them properly, but even then I have to, you want to clip them as nicely as you can, because you're going to end up rounding off those ends, and it's going to take you a lot of work. And I'm still learning, and there's a long way to go. So thanks for coming along. This is a long intro video, and that's just the way I roll. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Thanks for coming. Make sure that you hit subscribe, and make sure that you hit like, because you know you liked it. And if you didn't like it, then, you know, tough shit. Peace out.